My name is Wayne Harrisimovich. My call sign is VE1WPH. And I'm speaking to you from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. Today we have scouts, cubs, and venturers from the local Halifax area here who are going to be speaking with European Space Agency astronaut and Expedition 31 flight engineer Andrei Kuipers, who's been on space station for over 180 days. This educational outreach operation or opportunity is made possible through ARIS, Amateur Radio on the International Space Station. ARIS is a consortium of volunteer amateur radio operators from 9 nations who maintain an amateur radio presence on the ISS. With the support of its partners of the Canadian Space Agency, the American Radio Relay League, the AMSAT Radio Satellite Corporation, the European Space Agency, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, Roscosmos of Russia, and NASA, and as well with the kind assistance of the onboard crews on the International Space Station, we've been able to bring this ARIS program to over 700 people, to 700 different events the world over. The ISS has an inclination relative to the equator of about 51 degrees north and south, and it covers a huge amount of the habitable planet. It travels over, given, and I think Paul touched on this before, as it travels around the Earth, it goes on an orbit that takes it sometimes as many as 6 times a day over particular cities. So Halifax, when the ISS is in the area, will go over 6 times. That doesn't always work for these types of contacts. For instance, if we look at the screen, we're obviously not going to be able to talk to the space station, but using a telebridge system, one of similar to Tony's, that are around the world, we're able to be very, very flexible. And if it weren't for Tony's stations, we wouldn't be able to have this contact today. So we're very appreciative of that. The International Space Station is currently passing over the Pacific, just coming out of Asia, and picking up right now, just about overhead, on the northeast side of Australia. And at this time, I know it's out of the normal protocol, Tony, but how are we doing for time, sir?
We got 3 minutes and 10 seconds, Wade.
Okay, thank you very, very much. So we'll speed things along here. Would like to ask Kevin Croft, the coordinator for the event, for just a little bit of input, Kevin, if you don't mind. How did we go ahead and select the students today, or the participants?
How we select our participants today was the Nova Scotia Council office put out an email to any eager Beaver Scout, Cub Scout, Scout Venture who wanted to ask a question to the International Space Station, and 19 lucky participants answered the call, and they're here today with their question that they are so eager to ask the astronaut aboard the International Space Station.
Well, that's great, Kevin, and you've done a great job assembling the team here, and I know they're really excited. We're getting very close to acquisition of signal. Before I hand it over to Tony, and he knows what he can do with the time remaining, I'm going to remind everybody that this is an experiment in so many ways. We've done 700, but each one is very individual, so we never know the outcome of this particular experiment until it's over. Hopefully we're going to make contact with the space station. I'll ask that you turn off any cell phones or mute them, and hold your applause until the very, very end. So with that, we'd like to hand things over to Tony Hutchinson in Southeast Australia, VK5ZAI. Tony, go ahead and have yourself a great contact, and you can go ahead with a call to station.
Thanks, Wade, and a very good afternoon, or I think it's nearly afternoon, anyway, late morning to everyone in Nova Scotia. I live in a small town called Kingston in the southeast of South Australia. It's a small rural town, approximately 2,300 people, located in the southeast coast of South Australia. Summer season, the population doubles as the tourists flock to the beaches for relaxing and fishing. Town serves as a thriving rock lobster fishing industry, along with sheep, cattle, deer farming, and in recent years numerous vineyards and wineries have expanded into the area. An hour's drive east is Coonawarra, well renowned for its red wines, and to the south, picturesque city of Mount Gambier, South Australia's second largest, built on the side of an extinct volcano with its blue lake and forestry industry. Kingston, the southeast towns in general, cater for many tourists during the year who flock to the magnificent beaches and scenic coastline as part of Australia has to offer. So come and visit us sometime. Okay, thanks Wayne. We have about 17 seconds to go and I will start calling. Don't be alarmed if I can't get Andre in the first call because the station has to get a little bit above the horizon before we can get a contact. All right, stand by and I'll call. Calling NA1SS, NA1SS. This is VK5 Zulu Alpha India, VK5 ZAI in South Australia, standing by. Do you copy, Andre? Yes, I copy you. Victor Kilo 5 Zulu India. This is the space station. Reading you loud and clear now. Thanks, Andre. This is Tony, VK5 ZAI in South Australia. I have a group of scouts waiting in Nova Scotia and all ready to speak to you. So if you can stand by, I will put Ryan on. Ryan, would you ask your first question, please?
Do you get taller when you are in space? Over.
Yes, Ryan, we actually getting taller. You have this elastic disc between your vertebrae in your back, and they get a bit bigger, so you get taller. So we have to be sure that we still fit in our space suits and in our seats. Over.
Okay.
What is it like to live on the space station? Over.
Well, James, it's very interesting. It's very nice to float, but you always have to watch out for your items because everything floats away. Your food and the tools that you're working with. So it's also a lot of concentration. But it's very interesting, and the view is, of course, fantastic. Over.
How long did it take to become accustomed to living on the space station? Over.
Well, Cassidy, that takes about a week. This was my second flight, so it was a bit faster, but it takes some time before you start floating without kicking things off the walls, for example, and but it takes about a week. Over.
How far above the Earth is the International Space Station? Oh.
400 kilometers.
While you're on the space station, what do you do with your spare time? Over.
How about you? I think I do more or less the same things as you do. I watch some television, I chat with friends, I do some sports, and look out the window. Of course, I cannot go out and walk with the dog on the beach or in the forest. Over.
What experiments are you working on? Over.
Samantha, this is a broad range of experiments. I work with cells for the immune system. I work with fluids. I work with the robots. I work with all kinds of different experiments, and I am a test subject myself for medical experiments. Over.
So if toilets flush clockwise in the northern hemisphere and they flush counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere, which way do they flush in space? Over.
Tristan, that's a very interesting question, but I cannot answer it because we don't use the water to flush the toilet. We have an airflow system that brings everything down where it has to go. So I cannot do that test for you. I'm sorry. Over.
Why did he become an astronaut?
Go ahead.
Why did he become an astronaut? Over.
Hubert, that's a nice question. I wanted to become an astronaut first because I thought it was exciting with rockets and spaceships and other planets, and then I saw how beautiful it was with the pictures of the space shuttle, for example, and then I realized that it was also very useful because of all the experiments and science we do on board. So that were 3 reasons to become an astronaut. Over.
How do you fly a spaceship?
Well, Justin, the space station flies itself, because once you are in orbit, you...
Try it again. again there, if you could go again, Andre. I think we missed part of that. Over.
Justin, I repeat my answer. Nobody flies the space station, Justin, because once you are in orbit, you have a fixed orbit around the planet. So we don't have to steer the space station, only put it now and then on back to the 400 kilometers with some engines. Over.
How long have you been in orbit? Over.
Well, Ethan, the first flight was 11 days, and this one will be 191 days. So I have one more week to go. Over.
How long did it take you to travel from Earth to space? Over.
Well, actually, it takes only, 8.5, 9 minutes to get into orbit with the rocket, but then it takes about 2 days to do all the calculations. Where is the Soyuz spacecraft? Where is the space station? When do we burn the engines? So then it takes about 2 days then to get to the space station. Over.
What does it feel like as you re-enter the Earth's atmosphere? Over.
That's the most exciting part, Liam, of the whole flight, because you have a small engine to slow your speed, and then you go into the atmosphere, and because you go so fast, it becomes very warm, and you are like a fireball going through the atmosphere, and you become very heavy. So that's a very exciting part. It's like a roller coaster ride. Over.
What types of food do you have to eat? Over.
Dr. V, we can eat almost everything, as long as it doesn't crumble too much. And we have to be careful with drops from fluids. But we can can eat vegetables, we can eat fruits.
What does it feel like during the launch from Earth? Over.
Right, that's a very exciting moment to be launched, and you feel that you're pressing in your chair. You become about 3 times heavy. There's shaking going on, a lot of noise, and you know that you're on your way. So it's exciting. Over.
How long did it take to build the International Space Station? Over.
Well, Max, in 1998, the first part of the space station was launched, and now it's about ready. But there will still come some modules. There's still a Russian module coming, so it's still not totally finished. So it takes about, almost 20 years before the space station is finished. Over.
Can you see the stars from the space station? Over.
I can see the stars at night when we put the lights out in the space station, and it's beautiful. I can see the Milky Way, I can see stars, I see comets, meteorites, planets. It's very beautiful. Over.
Have you seen a hurricane from the station? And if so, what does it look like? And were you able to see the eye? Over.
Okay, man, it's very impressive. It's very big even on the space station, and you can see the eye of the hurricane as well. So that was very interesting. Over.
If you could invent one thing to take with you into space, what would it do and what would you call it? Over.
Well, Andrew, I would bring a gravity machine. That's how I would call it. Some device which you can switch on gravity for a moment. For example, if you want to take a shower, because that's impossible now. Over.
What is your sauce?
No.
Oh, what is your favorite food to eat in space?
Over.
Over.
My favorite food in space is actually tvorog. It's very nice stuff from the Russian food, which I like very much. It's some kind of cottage cheese, so that's my favorite. But there's a lot of good food on board. Over.
Well, Andre, this is Wayne, VE1WPH, the mentor for this event, and we have to tell you, we really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to answer our questions. You had a great mission there with the rest of Expedition 30, and on behalf of everyone here, we'd like to give you a big, big applause. Safe trip home next weekend. Over.
Over to you, Andre.
thank you. Speak to Kilo 5.